Hello future CS, welcome back to my channel again, your one-stop guide for everything related to CA exams. If you are new here, I am Pooja, a chartered accountant. I have an experience of working for Ernst & Young and KPMG, and I help CA aspirants like you succeed with practical tips, strategies and support. In this video, I'll be sharing some very important insights from the recent ICAI BOS webinar on indirect tax law for CA final. The focus will be mostly on the commonly committed errors by the student in the past exam. So we'll be discussing the mistakes in the compulsory question, errors in composition scheme, registration related mistakes and other few common mistakes. So knowing these mistakes in advance will help you avoid them and also score better in your exams. Guys, if you are new to my channel, please subscribe. Every subscription works like a motivation for me and it makes my day. So guys, when you visit my channel in the playlist section, you can see there is a separate playlist for CA final exam. And there is also a playlist for CA final auditing, CA final AFM, and also there is a playlist for this case scenario booklet where I'll be adding more videos by solving the case scenario questions. There is also a playlist as CAGPT for students. In this I have made some videos demonstrating different techniques in which you can use CAGPT while preparing for your CA exams. So please visit my channel and you can watch all of these videos. So let's start the video. So first we'll be seeing the mistakes in the compulsory question. So in your descriptive part, the first question is compulsory. So we'll be discussing the mistakes related to this question. So mostly this question will be relating to net GST payable. And there were 4 mistakes highlighted in this part. So better you note this down so that you do not make these errors in your exam. So the first error noticed was while computing the net GST payable in cash, most of the students commit the mistake by utilizing the input tax credit for discharging reverse charge liability. Output tax does not include tax payable under reverse charge. So input tax credit cannot be used for payment of any tax payable under reverse charge mechanism. The same has to be discharged in cash. So the exam tip relating to net GST payable in cash is never use input tax credit to pay tax under the reverse charge mechanism. The RCM liability must be paid in cash only and the input tax credit can be claimed only after making the cash payment of RCM. Now let's see the next error made in this compulsory question. In case of outward supply, the tax on which is payable under the reverse charge is given in the question. It was noticed that students failed to appreciate that the input tax credit on inputs and input services used in effecting the same is required to be reversed, since the supplies on which tax is payable under reverse charge are considered as an exempt supply. So the exam tip regarding outward supply under RCM is, if a question gives outward supply on which recipient pays tax under reverse charge, remember, such outward supply is treated as exempt supply. Hence, input tax credit on inputs and input services used for making that supply must be reversed. The common mistake here is students claim ITC without reversing it. Now let's see the third error noticed in this compulsory question. So students generally make a mistake in computing the blocked credit. So the exam tip here is be careful while computing the ITC. Certain credits like motor vehicles, personal consumption, etc. are blocked under section 17(5) of the CGST Act. So students often wrongly include these in eligible ITC. Now let's see the fourth common error in this compulsory question. Students commit mistakes while applying the provisions relating to distribution or apportionment of ITC on account of issuance of a debit or credit note to an input service distributor by the supplier. So an exam tip here is when the debit note or credit notes are issued to an input service distributor, the ITC must be apportioned or distributed correctly. The most common error here is misapplying the rules of distribution. So always cross-check whether ITC is eligible and whether the ISD rules are applied properly. Now we will discuss some mistakes in the composition scheme. So totally 3 errors were revealed under this. So let's have a look at this. So the first error noticed was students failed to appreciate that it is only the manufacturer of the notified goods, namely ice cream, pan masala, tobacco, aerated waters, that is ineligible to opt for the composition scheme and not the trader of the said goods. They wrongly disallow the composition scheme to the traders of the notified goods also. So the exam tip here is only the manufacturer of the notified goods, that is ice cream, pan masala, tobacco and aerated waters etc. cannot opt for the composition scheme. The traders of these goods are still eligible for the scheme. So the common mistake made here is students wrongly disallow the scheme for the traders also. Now let's see the second error under this composition scheme. So most of the time students fail to appreciate that it is only the supplier of supplies not leviable to tax that is ineligible to opt for composition scheme and not the supplier of the supplies exempt by the way of notification. So they wrongly disallow the composition scheme to that supplier also whose supplies are exempt by the way of notification. So the exam tip here is a supplier of supplies not leviable to tax. For example, alcohol for human consumption, petroleum products, etc. are ineligible for composition scheme. But a supplier of exempt supplies by the way of notification, like unbranded atta, educational services, etc., they are still eligible for the composition scheme. So the common mistake made here is student wrongly disallow the composition scheme even for suppliers of exempt supply. So now let's see the third error in this composition scheme. While computing the turnover in a state or a union territory for determining tax payable by a composition supplier, it was noticed that student wrongly include value of supply from 1st April of the financial year up to the date of his becoming liable for registration. However, same needs to be excluded in terms of section 10 of the CGST Act 2017. So the exam tip here is while calculating the turnover for a composition supplier, don't include supplies made before becoming liable for registration. Such supplies must be excluded as per section 10 of the CGST Act 2017. Now we'll see the mistakes in the registration related questions. Under this, 2 errors were noticed. So the first mistake noticed was students failed to appreciate that in case of supplies from specified special category states, the threshold limit will not be reduced to rupees 10 lakh in case where the taxpayer makes non-taxable supply from such special category state. So the mistake made here is students assume that the threshold limit for registration in special category state is always reduced to rupees 10 lakh. However, remember that the limit is not reduced to 10 lakh if the taxpayer is making non-taxable supplies from a special category state. Now let's see the second error in the registration question. So most of the students consider a person exceeding threshold limit as liable to obtain registration from the state where he is engaged in making exclusively the exempt supply. So the mistake here is students think that if the person's turnover exceeds the threshold limit, he must obtain registration even when he is engaged exclusively in exempt supply. So the tip here is no GST registration is required if a person is engaged only in exempt supply regardless of the turnover. Now let's see some other mistakes. So under this, two mistakes were noticed. So the first error was members of the same family are considered as related persons in terms of explanation to section 15 of the CGST Act 2017. However, students generally commit mistake in interpreting the definition of family as per section 249 of the CGST Act 2017. They wrongly consider parents, grandparents, brothers and sisters as related person, whether they are wholly or mainly dependent on the said person. However, parents, grandparents, brothers and sisters of a person are considered as related only if they are wholly or mainly dependent on the said person. So the mistake made here is students assume that all parents, grandparents, brothers and sisters are always considered as related person under GST. However, parents, grandparents, brothers and sisters are treated as related persons only if they are wholly or mainly dependent on the taxpayer. Now let's see the second error. So students generally make an error in computing the number of days for which interest is payable on delayed payment of tax. So here the date of cause of action needs to be excluded while computing the same. However, many students compute the time period including the date of cause of action. So the mistake here is students include the date of cause of action while calculating the number of days for which interest is payable on delayed payment of tax. However, always exclude the date of cause of action while computing the interest period. Count starts from the next day. So guys, that was a quick summary of the common errors students make in IDT at the CA final level as highlighted by the ICI itself. If you avoid these errors, half the battle is already won. Do like and share this video with your friends preparing for CA final. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more exam focused tips and strategies. All the best for your exams and I will see you all in the next video.